Welcome to Mild Moodcast, a podcast meant to explore mental health through the lens of another human hanging on by a thread. I'm Bianca, a registered mental health counselor intern, soon to be LMHC, here to chat about the topics we don't get enough of. So grab your headphones and let's dive into the crazy world of mental health. It's going to be a wild ride. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mild Moodcast. I am so happy to have you here today. And believe it or not, I am recording a day early. Earlier this week, it was my nephew's birthday, and we are having a Sunday celebration. So I went ahead and recorded this early. You're still going to get it on the same day, so it doesn't matter. We're in different times. But either way, I guess it never matters if you listen to this on Sunday when I release it or if you listen to it on some other day. But regardless of what day it is when you're hearing this, I hope you're having an amazing day. I gotta be so real. I am so freaking sleepy. I feel like it just hit me out of nowhere. I have no idea why I'm so damn tired. I mean, I didn't go to bed that late, honestly, and I slept until a pretty good time. So I really shouldn't be like this, but it be like that sometimes. What are you gonna do? Anyway, today's episode is called Secure Attachment Isn't Boring. It's safe, and you deserve safe. So I'll go ahead and start with my usual disclaimer, and then we will jump right into it. May or may not have lied. I recorded this entire thing, and I forgot that I had an announcement to make. So, you will be back to your regularly scheduled, whatever the hell that thing is called, shortly. I wanted to tell you guys that I created a Discord server. So it's so funny because I've been on Discord for probably 2 years now, and I didn't really get it. I was in a server and it was cool, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to sit down and really understand what the hell this is about. I made one, and it is called the Mood Garden. Of course, got to stay on theme, got to stay on brand, right? With the whole mood thing. But I essentially created it to be a little cozy corner of the internet where you can slow down, you can express yourself, you can connect with other people. It is to do emotional check-ins without judgment, sharing moods, art, music, whatever helps you heal, self-growth through mindfulness, creativity, and community. And most importantly, it's about being real, not perfect. So if any of that sounds good to you, it's not a therapy space. It is purely just a place where people can come together to create that sense of community. The link will be in the description. All right, now back to the disclaimer. Bye. As always, while my podcast is meant to spark reflection and curiosity, it's not a replacement for therapy. If you're navigating heavy emotions or challenges, please reach out to a professional. Therapy is a safe space to process and grow. And if you're so tired of hearing that, I'm sorry, but it's just if you jump into any one of these episodes at any time, I just want people to know this is to help you think, it's to help you grow, but it is not a replacement for therapy. So I'm going to forever throw that at the beginning of this. If you want to fast forward through it, whatever, maybe sometimes you need a reminder too. But either way, let's jump into talking about secure attachment. Now, this is obviously the last of the attachment styles, and then we'll move on to some other topic, but I felt like this one was still going to be equally as important to get into. We're going to kind of talk about secure attachment and also what the other attachment styles are usually attracted to after we get through, all the definitions and the good stuff. So buckle up, because it's actually a very interesting topic. Because we're not doing this from a clinical lens. We're not doing it from a checklist of symptoms or a textbook of definitions, right? I just want to talk about it from the context of real life. Because this isn't about being perfect. It's not about checking all the boxes. And I love to use the term checking all the boxes, right? But that's not what this is about. It's about knowing what safety actually feels like and unlearning all the ways we've confused chaos with chemistry. If you've ever said, why do I keep ending up with people who don't choose me back? Or why do I push people away the second it starts to feel real? Then I promise this episode is going to feel like being seen. So, what is secure attachment really? It's not a badge that you earn after 10 years of journaling and shadow work. It's something you build slowly, intentionally, as you start letting go of survival mode. Because you have to remember, like any strongly built thing, the foundation matters the most. So we have to create that foundation in order to build. If you build a house on a terrible foundation, what happens? It's going to fall down. One wind going too hard, one good storm, and that house is done so. We're the same way. We have to be able to go into something with a solid foundation. So it's when you realize that you can speak your needs without waiting for the other shoe to drop. When you don't immediately assume silence means rejection. When you can be close to someone without feeling like you're disappearing. And be alone without spiraling into abandonment fears. As a side note, I don't know what's happening to my voice today. I really shouldn't be losing it, but it's just, it wants to be anywhere but in this podcast. So if I sound a little rough, I'm sorry. It's not that securely attached people never get triggered. It's that when they do, they don't turn it into a fire. They pause. They breathe. They say things like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we slow this down a little? And that's usually like in a conversation, like, hey, I need to take a second to ground myself here. Secure attachment is feeling your chest loosen instead of tighten when someone texts back. It's not walking on eggshells. It's not feeling like you have to earn love by shrinking yourself. It's this quiet confidence that you're not performing. You're not auditioning. You're not bracing for impact. You're just being. And that's enough. So let's talk about what secure people do differently, right? Let's make it real. What does secure attachment actually look like in relationships? It looks like coming back to the table after a disagreement. Not to win, but to reconnect. It's assuming the best until you have a reason not to. And asking for clarity without turning it into an interrogation. It's saying what you mean instead of hoping someone will just get it. Secure people don't test their partners. I feel like this one's gonna, that sentence alone can ruffle some feathers, right? Because what do people do naturally before I even go forward? They test you. I'm gonna do this and see what happens. I'm gonna pull back and see if they text me back. Hell, I've been guilty too. So pride might be like, well, I don't do that. I'm not gonna test you. But being genuine is saying, yeah, I've definitely done that. And I recognize that it's not a healthy choice. So instead of testing your partner, you're going to tell them what you need. See, secure people know that communication isn't weakness. It's a foundation. They don't sacrifice themselves for harmony, but they also don't bulldoze others to feel in control. There's this balance, this emotional spaciousness where they hold their truth and still make room for yours. And make no mistake, secure doesn't mean passive. I'm not giving up the way that I feel for the sake of conversation. It means anchored. It means your nervous system isn't in a constant state of fight or flight just because something feels unfamiliar. There's something called assertive communication. And if you don't know what assertive communication is, should look it up. But it's not aggressive and it's not passive. People who are securely attached communicate assertively. That means sometimes being able to say no and being honest about why you're saying no. That doesn't mean you can never say no. That doesn't mean you can never stand up for the way that you feel about something. But you're also taking into consideration and respecting the ideas of the person you're communicating with, namely your partner. So let's talk about who we're drawn to when we're not secure. This is where it gets messy and honest. Because whether you know it or not, your attachment style does impact who you're drawn to. It impacts how you show up, and also why certain patterns keep repeating. People definitely don't like this one. If you lean anxious, paint a picture for you. You probably fall for the people who are hot and cold. The ones that give you just enough to stay hooked, but never enough to feel secure. And I want to be real with you. That's not love. That's nervous system withdrawal. That is your body craving the next hit of attention and calling it chemistry. If you lean avoidant, you might be drawn to people who love openly until they get too close. Then you start noticing everything they do wrong. I'm putting wrong in air quotes. You pull back. You crave intimacy, but fear it will cost you your freedom. You've learned that closeness equals control. So now, love feels like a threat. And if you're disorganized, both anxious and avoidant, you can feel like you're stuck in this internal war. You want closeness, but when you get it, you panic. You test people. You ghost. You sabotage. And deep down, it's not because you're flaky or broken. It's because you don't trust love to stay. And maybe even more painfully, you don't trust yourself to survive if it leaves. I just want to pause here and say that if this is the first episode that you've ever listened to from me, please go back and start season 2 from the beginning. If you're the most interested in attachment styles, at the very least, listen to the other ones first before you go any further with this one. Because I can almost guarantee you're not securely attached. So even though I love that you want to learn this information, it would be better if you could go learn the other stuff first. Like I've said before, most of my episodes are standalone, so it's fine. If you want to listen to them just because you're interested, hey, I can't tell you what to do, right? Stay. But if you really want to learn something, if you want to learn maybe which one you are, if you want to learn more about it, if you just want to hear what I have to say, definitely go check the other ones out. And it's so funny because I realized somebody's have been listening to season 1 and I almost feel bad. Because even though season 1 is very informationally rich, it really is. I think that was a big part of the problem. It might have been too informationally rich, at least for me. So I always tell people to start with season 2 just because I prefer it. And then once you have an idea of what I sound like and what I talk about, then you can go back and listen to season 1. Unless you're ADHD like me, you just, you want to start with those tips. That's fine. I'm my worst critic. So I just think that season 2 has been off to a way better start than season 1. But whatever. And if you've never listened to season 1, hey, give it a listen if you're intrigued by ADHD, because that was where I started. I think that was what every single episode was about, was ADHD for a little bit. Just kind of going through some things. So if you know someone, if you know kids, if you have it, definitely good to listen to. But I always just say start at the beginning of season 2 because it's been a journey. Even if they're standalone, they're all connected in some way. But anyway, jumping back into it. Becoming secure, the rewiring. So, how do we change this, right? How do we become secure when our bodies are wired for survival? Well, I'm so glad you asked. The simple answer here, the first step, compassion. And you're probably like, bitch, what? No, seriously. Compassion, not shame. You have to learn your patterns without hating yourself for them. I don't call myself broken anymore. I say I'm in progress. Because the things that I struggle with now, they once kept me safe. What good does it do to me to be so down on myself, to call myself names? That cements me in fear. It doesn't help hurdle me into progress. So I've got to recognize I needed this at one point in time to protect myself. But I don't need it in this capacity anymore. I don't need it anymore in general. So no, I'm not going to call myself broken. And even in progress, sometimes I think can be problematic too, because it's not that you have to be a project for the rest of your life. It's not that at all. It's just we can, as I've said plenty of times now, look back at old things from new places. I can look back at how I used to react at something and not absorb it. I can look back at old wounds after I've grown and they won't have the same effect. So in progress, it's even said gently, because I don't want to have to feel like I've got to work on myself every single day, 100% of the time. It's not that. It's never that. It's just no one is perfect. And it's okay if we struggle some days and if we don't. So if you resonate with in progress, great. If you don't resonate with in progress, you ain't got to keep it. Whatever works for you, knowing that you're not shaming the things that you haven't done or the parts of you that you haven't met yet or the person that you want to be that you haven't become yet. Compassion, not shame. Why? Because then it's going to allow you to start noticing your spirals. It's going to get you out of your head and into your body. It's going to get you to pay attention to what makes you shut down or explode. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I speak up? What story am I telling myself in this moment? And then I want you to gently say, this fear is old. I'm safe now. I can do this differently. When you're mid-spiral, this fear is old. I'm safe now. There is something so just important about telling yourself that you're safe. About getting your nervous system into safe mode and recognizing that you have the tools to do it differently. All it requires is that you show up and that you're honest. Emotional honesty. Secure people don't hide from their feelings. They communicate them. Not to manipulate, but to connect. Try saying things like, I'm feeling really vulnerable right now, and I want to share that with you, even if it's messy. Or, I'm noticing myself pull away. Can we talk about what's coming up for me? That's not weakness. That's courage. That's secure. And it might initially feel terrifying to verbalize, I'm feeling really vulnerable right now. or to even say, can we talk about what's coming up for me? But this is where we're not hiding. This is where we're connecting. And remember, in another one of my episodes, I said to be careful with who you are making these connections, because there are people who do not meet you halfway. There are people who do not have good intentions. There are people who will make you feel shame for wanting to express that softer side of you. It's not weakness, it's courage, and it is security. So if you are talking to someone and you say, I'm feeling vulnerable right now, and they make fun of you, or they say something that's rude, or they invalidate that, please recognize that it's not a you thing. That it is I chose the wrong person, or the wrong person is standing in front of me to be able to have this conversation with. And is that hurtful? 100%. Of course it is. No one in their right mind wants to feel invalidated. No one in their right mind wants to feel like it's unsafe to express themselves. And a lot of people might have made you feel that way. And you may be surrounded by a bunch of people like that. And that's, again, something to consider. We should never be made to feel bad for showing the softer sides of us. Period, point blank. And if anybody says any differently, they're wrong. Man, woman, does not matter. NB, they're wrong. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to invite all of your emotions to the table and express them. And if you are in front of someone today that will not allow you to express them, that will not allow you to feel safe, I would encourage you, and I can't tell you what to do, but I would encourage you to create space between yourself and that person. Because I can't tell you to kick them out of your life. I can't tell you to leave them. I can't tell you to make these drastic changes that you might not be ready for. But please do recognize that as you do work on yourself, you are the only one working on yourself. Which means just because you change the way that you speak, just because you change the way that you feel, doesn't mean that the people around you are going to do it. But that does mean that you need a change of scenery. So starting by making space between the two of you is a healthy idea. Moving on. What about when peace starts to feel boring? When safety feels uncomfortable? That's when you know you're healing. Because your body is learning that love doesn't have to be a battlefield. Let it feel strange. Let it stretch you. Let it soften you. And when your body wants to run, pause. Breathe. Put your hand on your heart and ask, what do I actually need right now? Sometimes the most secure thing you can do is not send the text, not pick the fight, and not spiral over an assumption. Sometimes it's just staying still and checking in with yourself. So let's talk about dating through a secure lens for a second. When you start becoming secure, dating doesn't feel like a game anymore. You're not looking for someone to prove they love you, because you trust yourself enough to walk away if they don't. You're not trying to decode mixed signals, because you, at this point, would rather have clarity than chaos. And honestly, You stop chasing butterflies. Not in the like, this person gives me butterflies, oh, I love it. Like, yeah, you're still going to have butterflies, but you're not going to chase that feeling. Especially when they come from your nervous system bracing for impact. You start choosing peace because peace finally feels like home. You want the connection that's mutual, that's present, that's soft without being dull. You want the kind of love where your body doesn't have to be on high alert. And that's not boring. That's secure. To feel so sure that you are loving the people around you with your overflow and they're doing the same thing. That's when you can really exhale. So I got some optional reflection prompts for you. There's 4 of them. What would love feel like if I wasn't afraid? And before I read the other 3, I just want to reiterate that we can't be vulnerable with other people until we are able to be vulnerable with ourselves. So today, if you're listening to this and you struggle to admit the way that you feel to yourself, I would encourage you to start there. Understanding why, understanding what that wall means to you, what it means for you to not be able to communicate these feelings in your own mind. It's funny because the other day I said, don't put the cart before the horse. And I got called old. And it's the truth. We cannot jump the gun. We can't want to do other types of work before doing the important work first. I have to be able to be soft and vulnerable with myself before I can spread that to someone else. So try to remember that today. Next question or reflection prompt. When do I feel most grounded in connection? And really actually grounded, not just comfortable. What triggers my anxiety in relationships? And is it about now or something old? Who in my life has modeled secure love? How did that feel in my body? And for that last question, you may not have had a single person in your life model secure love. And you are going to break that generational curse by being the person to model secure love. And think about that if you don't have anyone. How would it feel in my body to have someone model secure love or to have myself do it? Envision that. Embody it. If this episode hit you in your chest, I want you to sit with that. Let it land. Don't run from it. Maybe, just maybe, you were never too much. Maybe you were just asking to feel safe. And that's not too big of an ask. That's your birthright. If this resonated, share it with someone else who's healing. Let's normalize secure love. Let's stop making peace feel boring. Let's rewire together. Thanks for listening today, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Mild Moodcast. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. If you have any burning questions or topics you'd like me to cover, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on YouTube at Mild Moodcast and Instagram at Mild Mood Therapy. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to explore the wonderful world of mental health together. Until next time, stay curious and keep smiling.